Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on Microsoft's Internet Information Services, or as pretty much everyone calls it, IIS. We're going to cover what it is, how to get it running, and how to launch your very first website. Ready? Let's get into it.
So think about it, you type a web address into your browser, you hit enter, and poof, a website just appears. But have you ever wondered what's actually happening on the other end, on that Windows server to make it all work? Well, it all starts with a very specific piece of software.
And that piece of software is called a web server. You can think of it as a digital traffic cop. Its entire job is to sit there, listen for requests coming in from browsers all over the world, and then serve up the right files, the HTML, the images, the code to make the website appear. It's the engine that makes the internet go.
Now, if you're working in the world of Windows, Microsoft's answer to this is Internet Information Services, or IIS. The best part? It's baked right into most versions of Windows. It's this incredibly powerful and flexible web server that's just waiting for you to turn it on.
Okay, so let's get a little closer. What exactly makes IIS tick? We're about to break down the key features that make it the go-to engine for so much of the web that runs on Windows.
At its heart, IIS is all about a few core ideas. First, it's got a modular architecture. That just means you only install the bits and pieces you actually need, which is fantastic for security. Then you have application pools, and these are so important. They isolate your websites from each other, so if one site has a problem, it doesn't crash your whole server. And of course, it's built to work perfectly with the .NET framework, making it the natural home for ASP.NET apps.
All right, enough theory. Let's get our hands dirty. How do you actually take a regular Windows machine and transform it into a real live web server? You'll be surprised at how easy it is. Let's walk through the setup. The cool thing is, you don't even need to download anything. You just have to enable a few Windows features. You'll start by hopping into the Control panel. From there, you'll find and expand the Internet Information Services option. The absolute must-haves are the IIS Management Console, so you can actually manage it, and then under Worldwide Web Services, you want to grab the features for things like ASP.NET and serving basic static files.
Now, once IIS is installed, it helpfully creates a default website for you. Pro tip, stop this site right away. It's a well-known target, and security experts will tell you it's always safer to build your own sites from scratch in a different, dedicated location.
So we've got IIS installed, we've stopped that default site, and now we're ready for the main event. We are going to create our own website. This is where we turn a simple folder on our computer into a site that IIS can serve to the entire world.
But wait, before you even open the IIS Manager, let's get your house in order. It's a really good practice to create a main Websites folder somewhere easy to find, like the root of your C drive. Inside that, make a folder for each website, and then inside that, a www root folder. This is where your actual website files will live. Trust me, this organization will save you headaches down the road.
Okay, remember those application pools we mentioned? Let's talk about them again, because they're critical. Think of them as individual, protected sandboxes. Every website you create gets its own sandbox to play in. This is a huge deal. If one site gets buggy or crashes, its problems are totally contained. It won't affect any of the other sites on your server.
Now we can finally jump into the IIS Manager and put it all together. You're going to right-click on Sites and choose Add Website. You'll give it a friendly name, you'll point the physical path to that www root folder we just made, and you'll assign it to its own shiny new application pool. And that brings us to the final critical step, the binding. So what on earth is a binding? Well, it relies on something called a host header. Here's the best way to think about it. Imagine your server is a giant apartment building. The IP address gets you to the building's front door. But the host header is like the apartment number. It tells the server which specific website or apartment the visitor is trying to reach. And that is the magic of host headers. It's how you can run dozens, even hundreds of different websites on a single server with just one IP address. IIS just looks at that little host header in the request and says, you're looking for mysite.com, right this way. It's incredibly efficient. Now, it's important to note there are two ways to do all of this. You've got the visual, click-around way with the IIS Manager, which is perfect when you're starting out. But then you've got the command line, using a tool called appcmd. And that's where the real power for automation and scripting comes in. And this is what that looks like. In one single line of text, you can tell IIS everything it needs to know. The name of the site, where the files are, and the exact binding with the host header. You can imagine how easy it would be to write a script that creates 50 websites in the blink of an eye. That's efficiency. Okay, so you did it. Your website is configured, it's running, it's live, but our job isn't quite done. Now we have to talk about how to keep it healthy and what to do when things inevitably go wrong.
Picture this. You hit that dreaded notification. Your website is hanging, users are getting errors, there's a big red panic button a lot of people are tempted to press. But I'm here to tell you, it's almost always the wrong one.
And this quote from a former Microsoft developer just hits the nail on the head. In a panic, people run a command called IIS reset. They do it because they think it's the only fix, but it's like using a sledgehammer to hang a picture frame.
Let's just compare these two. On one hand, you have recycling an application pool. This is a graceful, surgical procedure. It restarts just the one broken website with zero downtime. On the other hand, you have IIS reset. This is the sledgehammer. It violently stops and restarts every single thing on your web server, taking all of your sites down with it.
So the takeaway here is simple. Be a surgeon, not a demolition crew. The smart professional approach is to always use precision. Find the one application pool that's causing trouble and recycle just that one. You fix the problem without anyone else in the server even noticing.
All right, let's wrap this up with the most important things to remember. First, IIS is your built-in web server on Windows. Second, application pools are your absolute best friend for keeping things safe and stable. Third, host headers are the secret sauce that lets you host a ton of sites on one server. And finally, please, for the love of all that is holy, use the scalpel, not the sledgehammer. Always recycle an app pool instead of running IIS reset.
And that brings us to one last lingering question. Your site is online, you're serving traffic, you're feeling great. But now that you're live on the internet, a much more important question comes up. Is it actually secure?
Because getting online is just the first step. The journey from here involves hardening your server, tuning it for performance, and setting up rock-solid monitoring. That's how you take what we've built today and turn it into a truly professional, production-ready website.